What's up? What's up? Another day leveled up. It is Selym, and I'm back with another one for you. Today we're going to be talking about the generation that we live in. It's this generation that is trapped in imitation. You see, social media has really robbed and hijacked our ability to have a sense of identity lately, have a sense of self-worth. I feel like we try to get that validation externally, and it is now praised, and it is now in a sense of trying to get people to realize like it may be the only way is to get that external validation. Walking around with that mentality like, am I enough? That's like silently playing in the back of our heads. It's the subtleties under everything that we post on social media. There's a reason I don't even like to watch the shows like American Idol and The Voice and stuff, because to me, I'm like, why are you placing your worthiness in the hands of these people who are now musicians, or they have a track record of being successful, but it's also just for going and looking past the generation and the times that we live in. Like you don't need any validation or anyone deeming you as worthy. It's like we have a phone, we have social media. There's no one gatekeeping your success nowadays. So to see that those shows like American Idol and The Voice are still huge shows that people in our society still watch, it's still mind-blowing to me, honestly. And I think when it comes to being your authentic self, that is what everybody is trying to do anyways. Like if you're on American Idol, for example, you're basically boxing yourself in on how far you could take your lyrics, how far you could be your authentic self. You're singing renditions of other people's songs, and then you may be able to sing your own song at the end of the competition if you get that far, but you're basically still not yourself. So it's like, what is your end goal? Are you just trying to be part of the cool kids and that crowd, or you really truly want to be your authentic self? And if you want to be your authentic self, that's going to take courage. It's going to take the willingness to be disliked. It's going to take just working in solitude and not being able to actually get that validation that you may be seeking right away. But the authenticity that we admire, if you want to still look at it in the vein of musicians, that's most likely going to be people like Post Malone. It's going to be people who have done just the most out of the ordinary type of thing. Jelly Roll. Like I'm not too much of a fan of Jelly Roll because it's just kind of like the sad boy country music, but I respect it and I see it for what it is. He is so different. Post Malone as well, but I'm not stopping there. You want to go back to like Michael Jackson. You want to go back to these big mega stars that when they showed up, their energy just like was insane. People would fall out looking at, just trying to pick up on the aura of Michael Jackson. It's insane. But all these people had to be willing to be disliked and willing to not try to stay in the status quo, not trying to outsource their worth. No one was doing moonwalks and singing like Michael Jackson. No one was making songs like White Iverson when it comes to Post Malone. I talk about this in my newsletter I'll get to at the end of this video, but when Post Malone first came out, he had the song White Iverson. It's like, what does that even mean? Who is this guy? Who is he to say he could be a White Iverson? This dude's white. And it's like, the song was great, even despite all that. But people were like, you know what? I think this dude will probably be a one-hit wonder. And turns out this dude has just been releasing just fire bangers from the point he came on the scene. You know, everybody knows like what was it, the Spider-Man theme song soundtrack with him and like Swat Lee and things like that. No Wildflower, but Sunflower. There's so many different things that we can learn from the people that we admire. I don't like to consider people celebrities or untouchable types of people. You know, everybody is human. The people that we look up to just had a little bit more courage than you to actually step out and do something different. So acknowledge them for it, be proud, and definitely congratulate them for it, but don't look at them and then look at yourself and think that you are so different. They just took the leap and found out that the world is not trying to grind you under. You know, one of my favorite quotes by the philosopher Terence McKenna was like, this is what all the shamanic, the shamans and the people that touch the alchemical gold found out, was like, when you hurl yourself into the abyss, the world is not trying to grind you under. It's a feather bed just waiting on you to take that leap, and you'll be surprised. You know, like even with this YouTube channel, you know, I took a leap years ago, not knowing what was on the other side, but I had the courage. I got rid of the fear of like, what's the worst that could happen? You know, so no one's watching me now. Worst that could happen is they continue to not watch me, but that's already happening right now. So that's worst case scenario. So why not start? And all it takes is that one person to be like, you know what, I needed to hear this. You know what, that song was great. That newsletter was great. I appreciated how you showed up to me, like in a work environment. You know, it doesn't have to be something grandiose. It could be just your career that you're doing. You know, don't think too hard about it. And I found myself even in this loop when I started YouTube and I started to gain traction. I hit 1,000 subscribers, and there was a point where I wanted to change up a bit. You know, I could get better edits. I could just make this so much better. And it's like, but you gained all those 1,000 followers from a certain type of video and the way that you're showing up. So why change it? Why try to emulate and imitate someone else? You know, just, you're gonna get in this trap and you're gonna be like, damn, I gotta backtrack now and get to what I'm good at. You know, I remember when I started getting reached out by other people. They're like, dude, I love your videos. They're all long form. There's no cuts, there's no edits. That's impressive. And to me, I was like making these videos because it's like, I didn't know how to cut and edit at that time, nor did I have the time. But I was not aware that people were watching my content, admiring the authenticity and the raw content, and that was my superpower. That is why they continue to show up. And then when I started to try to be like more like them, they're like, dude, what are you doing? I liked your old stuff. I liked the authentic Selym, you know? Like, why would you try to change this? So knowing that we are in this generation that's trapped in imitation, it's important to not get caught in that feedback loop and realize our development and how we go about imitating others and looking for validation. This is also going to affect how we have our relationships, how the people we date, what we create, what we define as success. You know, if we get into a relationship needing that validation, it's not going to go well. You need to go into these situations knowing who you are, appreciating the person who they are, and enjoying that, not trying to change them. You know, like even what comes down to what you create, don't look for that validation. Be willing to be different. Get rid of the fear, and you showing up with no fear allows everyone else to, you're pretty much granting them permission to show up without the fear. And it lets them know, like, hey, it's all right. It's all right to do that. You know, like, you're not gonna get in trouble for this. Like, luckily we live in America. This may not be the case somewhere else. So that's another thing. Be grateful for where you are. Be grateful for the opportunity to step into your authenticity and get paid for it. You know, this is the most, this time we have so many opportunities that no one else has. So it's important to go in that direction and not get lost in imitating others. Like, really imagine how your life would look if you were your authentic self and getting paid to be your authentic self. Whatever that is, whatever avenue, whatever creative outlet that you do, someone's doing that online. And the only reason that they're ahead of you is that they decided they were worthy and proceeded. So I didn't want to make this video too long. Expect the videos in the future to be much longer, but I wanted to get back here to also announce that I started a newsletter. So along with these videos that I will be putting up, each of them will have a newsletter, most likely before the video drops. And these videos will go deeper into my writing, or just allow it to be like kind of like pillar content, you know, and branch off from the writing and vice versa. But the newsletter, I am on Substack. I'm going to start to create some exclusive content for paid subscribers, but as of now, everything is free. You know, if you want to support the channel, the platform, you can do that. In the future, there will be exclusive content as far as videos and writing, and I will get back to one-on-one coaching, as well as a group community that we could all mastermind in and find a community so we're not out here so lost. You know, sometimes you have to be aware and validate your value, and everything can't be free. That's another thing. You know, you can't be trying to imitate someone who may be having all this content for free, and then you're like, but I give so much value, I have to do it like them. No, you don't. Recognize your value. People will recognize your value once you do. So once you do, you set up, you have a service, you're like, I don't give advice out like this for free, or whatever it is you do, people will pay you if they know it's worth their time and effort and their money. So don't get lost in the sauce, the generation of imitation. My link for the newsletter is below. Follow that, comment videos and topics that you'd love me to write and speak about. I'd love to hear it from you guys. I love the player ones. I appreciate you guys continuing to rock with me. Just know that a belief may be comforting, but only through true experiences it become liberating. Grant yourself permission to level up. Until next time, it's your boy Selym. I'm out.